And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Lunch and Debates. I'm your fellow co-host Dibo, not along with other co-host Matt. Still very busy at the moment, but again, we are doing a solo session for today's recording. Hope y'all enjoy it. A bit of a change for this week or last week, sort of. This episode was originally scheduled on to be recorded, on Friday, but due to me being down with the cold, came off at a random time. Got mad sick, voice was shot, didn't have the strength to do it. Thought about doing it Saturday, Sunday, wasn't healthy enough to be on here to record. So sorry guys for the late wait, but instead with this week, the schedule, knock on wood, this isn't wood, but I'm still knocking on it. Obviously recording today, and hopefully on Friday after I'm done with my internship, I'll be able to record on here once again in person. Don't know about Matt. We gotta work it out. With this upcoming school year ahead of us, it's not that far away. It'll be next month. So summer came by really fast, unfortunately. But work doesn't stop for anybody, especially here at Lunch and Debates. So hey, it's nothing. It's same old, same old. Man, I'll tell you how I got sick though for some reason. So these past few days, I have been struggling with my left calf. I'm feeling like some, I guess, tightness in my left calf. I think it's like a left calf strain. I might have to get that checked, but yeah, I think I need to get that checked. But yeah, on Friday I got some Tylenol from the store, ibuprofen, and I thought, it would be the usual. Just pop two of them things, two of them pills, and hopefully the leg would be way better. But strangely, after I took the pills, I was starting to feel sickness. I was starting to have a stuffy nose, sore throat, a whole bunch of that stuff. So I came down like nasty, like with a nasty cold. I'm like, bro, man, I wanted to record tonight. I want to get on like online, StreamYard. That's where we record our virtual stuff. Yeah, I wanted to get on and record, but I was just not feeling it, and that was the same thing throughout the weekend. So yeah, that was a real bummer. But again, we're still here and we're recording in person. That out the way, my personal life. Quick rundown with the agenda for today. We'll talk about USA men's basketball, their opening game versus Serbia, a little bit of a game recap, and then keeping on with basketball, probably the biggest news in the NBA right now, the new media deal that will be put in place during the 25 season, and that means inside the NBA, TNT are going to be no more when it comes to basketball coverage. So we'll get into that as well. Also, with the next two segments, it's going to be NFL talk. The first thing we'll talk about Jordan Love and Tua getting their massive contract extensions long term. And with the main segment, keeping on with the football trend, football is again right around the corner. I believe the Hall of Fame game is this week. I'm not sure the teams that are gonna play, but it starts this Thursday night. So that's gonna be a blast. Um, it's gonna be bench warmers, guys that aren't gonna make the team probably, but it's still football, and I'm gonna watch it, and a lot of you guys are gonna watch it too. So yeah, go football. But with our main segment, we will talk about NFL QBs throughout the rest of the league, as we will put them in tiers. So yeah, just a little rundown of all the segments for today. Hope y'all enjoy them. It's gonna be another fun episode as always, and I can't wait for y'all to get on this ride. Um, before I get into this, it's gonna be a little bit different. But if y'all are watching, please drop a like. If y'all are new people watching our content, drop a follow as well. And if you want to be engaged, drop a comment. That would be greatly appreciated. All right, all that stuff out the way. Let's get into Olympic basketball, specifically Team USA men's, the men's team. And for their opening game this past Sunday, they took down Nikola Jokic in Serbia in a 110-84 route. Serbia, they put up a fight throughout the first half. Actually, they were up by 8 early in the first quarter. It was a 10v2. Yeah, it was a 10-2 game early in the first quarter. But as the game went on, USA became more comfortable with the ball, not turning the ball over that much. The athleticism was clearly showing. KD, LeBron, Steph, they led the way. Those top three players. The defense was phenomenal. Shout out to Drew Holiday when he has minutes. Anthony Davis when he stepped in off the bench. Derek White too as well. And in that third quarter and fourth as well, we pulled the game away, and as a result, another blowout win for the U.S. 26 point route. Sorry, and yeah, man, simple as that. Let's get into key performances, and we can't start this off without talking about Kevin Durant. I mean, just a quick rundown of his stats. 8 of 9 from the field. He went 8 for 8 in the first half. In his first game coming back from a calf injury. This man did not play in any of the the exhibition games before the Olympics started. And off the bench as our sixth man, he dropped 23 points, going insane, hitting every jump shot. Didn't matter who was covering him. That one jumper before the first half buzzer rang, that was insane too. Kevin Durant is an insane player. We know this. We've been known this. Olympics, Kevin Durant is a problem, man. If KD played as well as he did in the Olympics, he would probably contend for top 5 of all time, and I truly believe that. But when it comes to Olympic basketball players all time, Team USA, KD is the cream of the crop. I think, in my opinion, he is the best Olympic basketball player to play for the U.S. throughout history. When you look at the statistics, he's got it all. The most points in Olympic basketball history for Team USA, multiple gold medals, multiple tournaments where he was the clear third, second, and even number one option, especially in last Olympics in Tokyo. He was the biggest reason why we won that gold medal. If he wasn't there, then we wouldn't have won it. And I just want to give him his flowers, because when you're in a different environment like FIBA basketball, different rules, huge difference in physicality, players get to hack other players, where when we're talking about the NBA, those type of fouls wouldn't be allowed. Those type of defenses wouldn't be allowed as well. And for KD being a 7-foot demigod, basically a guy that who can get to his own spot anywhere on the court, can shoot from anywhere on the field. To be honest, probably the greatest mid-range shooter of all time, if not top 5, top 3 minimum. I mean, he is such a skilled basketball player, and we've seen his resume throughout these Olympics. And for this team, man, and for USA, he just brings a certain dynamic, a certain element that no other country can match. I mean, like I said, which other country can find a 7-foot player who can play like a guard, who can shoot like a guard, limitless range, can get to his spots easily, can do a little bit of playmaking, a little bit of defense when he wants to as well. So that's just a huge mismatch for the rest of the world. Other players too, LeBron, that the man, bro, LeBron is 40 years old, damn near 40 years old, man. He should not be doing this. He should not be doing this, man. Like 21 points, 19 of 13 from the field. Looking like he's 30. The man's incredible. And I said this last episode, I believe, but as his career goes on, man, he just keeps proving to me why I changed my opinion on the GOAT debate between him and Jordan. I mean, just the longevity of his career, playing at such a high level, especially on the Olympic stage, even being in the conversation, not being out of place at all, looking like one of the best players on the court, even though he's damn near 40 years old. It's just an incredible feat. LeBron, I mean, you can't. What else can you say about him, man? The dude's an anomaly. He's an anomaly, and if you don't think the best basketball player, the best NBA player of all time, is not at least a two-man race between him and MJ, you're lying. And in that two-man race, I know who I'm picking, and that's LeBron James. Simple as that. I mean, what else do you want to see? What else do you want to see, man? He's showing to you over 2 decades of elite production, man. Come on, that's just stupid. But other players as well. Steph Curry, great offensive game. He tweaked his leg in the middle of it. He wasn't that affected by it though. After that three at the end of the game did not, I wouldn't say dagger, but that three to make the game even more of a blowout was insane. To look back, shooting the ball before it went in was insane as well too. The dude's insane, man. I said Drew Holiday's name before, but great defense by him. I loved his energy, which he's always bringing throughout his entire career. Derek White off the bench as well. He had great defensive. He showed a great defensive presence. Look, man, I think one of the biggest indicators on a person's basketball knowledge is knowing Derek White's role on his team. If you think, even before any of the games were played, if you think, if you thought that Derek White on this USA team was out of place, you don't know basketball. You do not know basketball, because when you have a team with a ton of guys who are the alpha for their NBA teams, who throughout their entire careers have been the clear number one option, the clear superstar, you need guys like Derek White. You need guys like Derek White who are used to sitting in the corner, being a secondary ball handler, being a secondary shot creator, banking on their defensive skills night in, night out, and doing the dirty work, basically. Just like Tyshawn Prince in '08, just like Tyson Chandler in 2012, you need those glue guys on a team in order to function well. And Derek White is one of those glue guys. He is the perfect role player. And we've seen that, especially in the NBA, these past couple seasons, which is why he was one of the biggest reasons the Celtics were able to dominate as much as they did this past postseason, winning a chip, obviously. So, hey, I got to tip my hat off to Derek White for his performance. Other than that, I mean, there was really no. Well, you can say Embiid was the wink link. That's why he only got 11 minutes. But other than Embiid, I had no negatives about any of the players that were in the rotation. Even the coaching from Steve Kerr, which Steve Kerr has gotten a ton of crap for coaching this USA team, especially in the exhibition games. Obviously, the 3-guard lineups, they're not traditional for a FIBA format, but in this game, the rotations were crisp. The energy was maintained throughout. We didn't falter when Serbia made the early lead. As the game progressed, as we settled in offensively, got more focused defensively, showed more effort. Yeah, we were clearly the better team, and we outmatched them. So I got no complaints from Steve Kerr. And, yeah, basically all I can say was that another game where The U.S. showed that they're clearly the most talented and clearly the best team in the entire world. And with obviously with what the betting odds are saying right now, we're the clear favorites, and obviously we should win a gold medal in this tournament. Like the same message throughout all the other Olympic tournaments since they've allowed NBA players to play in the Olympics. So yeah, I really got no complaints about what happened. Jason Tatum, not even getting a single minute. He was a DNP coach's decision. I heard that Kerr said post game that he made a mistake and he'll play in the next game. I believe on Wednesday against I want to say South Sudan. So we'll see how that happens and how it'll fit in the rotation. But yeah, we'll talk about Tatum for just a minute here. Yeah, I mean, as a Celtics fan, it's obviously disappointing to not see one of your favorite players, a guy that just recently won a championship, get zero burn on the biggest stage. A guy that made the previous first team, to be at the previous three first team All NBAs. Again, won a championship, a consensus top 5, 6 player in the entire league. So for him not to play a single minute at all, a single second, yeah, it's a big disappointment. And I'm glad Kerr realized it, and I hope Tatum can get more playing time down the line, because when you have a guy like Tatum, his skill set can fit in a FIBA setting, doing all the dirty work, being so good, like fundamentally skilled, uh, jack of all trades type of player, can rebound, defend, play make a little bit. So and also his size as well is a huge factor as a wing, especially. So yeah, I think Tatum is still a very important piece to this roster, even though he obviously had a post showing in those exhibition games. But we've seen his talent on an Olympic scale in this tournament before. He was the second best player behind the Kevin Durant in Tokyo with that gold medal team, on a team that was probably the worst since '04, when that '04 team won bronze. So yeah, he has shown to stand out in these games, but hey, I'm not the coach. Steve Kerr is, Eric Spoelstra, one of the assistants. They have to say on the players getting PT or not, so we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. I wonder if Tatum were to be in the rotation, who will he take out? Um, yeah, I don't want to be too biased. I don't want to put Tatum as a starter. You could have a reason to over over D Book, but D Book had a great game shooting wise. He's a fantastic off ball presence too when it comes to his offensive game. So I think he has a place in there. But when it comes to the rotation, I think if you had a choice, Derek White would be the obvious one. Him being the least talented, but again, we'll have to see. Serbia, all I gotta say is, hey man, they put up a great fight. Jokic, he looked like the best player on the floor as usual. But hey, again, the lack of athleticism and really talent, the talent level was not there, and it showed. Quick stat. Serbia's plus minus with Jokic in this game was a 0, and their plus minus without Jokic was a negative 26. So just the absolute mountain that they had to climb in 40 minutes against a stacked USA team was unfair. Was very unfair. Hopefully Serbia can make it out of the group. They should be able to. I think they're the second most talented in said group, so we'll just have to see. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Next segment, I was about to talk about, praise that roster one more time, even though we've praised it enough. But I mean, I could say it one more time, but just looking at this team playing together, like LeBron, Curry, KD, all these guys coming together, just a pure melting pot of the OGs, the dirty-ish guys like an Anthony Davis, and the young stars like a D-Book, like an Anthony Edwards, who was great against Serbia, like a Jason Tatum. Um, as a fan, as an American especially, and as a fan of basketball and the NBA, it's just a pleasure to watch. And just looking at this team, I just won't be able to take this for granted. I mean, LeBron and Steph Curry on the same team in games that matter, along with KD too as well. It seems like 2K fantasy, man. So, hey, it doesn't matter who fits the rotation, man. It's just a fan, as a pure fan watching these games, it's been a pleasure to watch, and I hope it continues, man. I really do. But enough of that. Let's go on to the NBA and their new media deal. I'll just read this off. On Wednesday, the NBA announced it has entered a long-term agreement with Amazon after Warner Bros. Discovery, the parent company of TNT Sports, failed to match the terms of Amazon Prime Video's offer. Earlier this month, USA Today Sports reported that the NBA finalized a combined 11-year media rights deal with Disney, ABC, and ESPN, NBC, and Amazon worth approximately $76 billion, $6.9 billion per season. That will begin with the 2025-26 season and run through the 2035-36 season. Yeah, TNT, basketball on TNT, and most importantly, the Inside the NBA is coming to a close, which, as a fan who grew up watching Inside the NBA, especially, I don't know if y'all remember this, but just watching in the morning reruns of Inside the NBA from the night before, seeing them in the morning on NBA TV before I went to school was a core memory of mine as a sports fan. And just thinking about it, it sucks, plain and simple. Um, I don't like streaming platforms, the majority of them, for sports. I just think that for the average fan, it's unfair to price them out. Just new fans trying to get into the sport, they have the accessibility is it's never been as limited as it is right now, and we've seen that especially with the NFL over these past couple of years. New these playoff games being exclusively on Peacock, other platforms like that, and with the NBA, they're gonna have a lot of primetime games on Amazon Prime. Also for the WNBA too, they're gonna have finals games, whole finals coverage in certain years with their media package as well. So just talking about the accessibility for new fans and even old fans who are less fortunate to splurge their money on certain things. It's an unfortunate thing and a sad reality of modern sports watching. With these companies playing, kind of as a devil's advocate, I understand the appeal. It makes the most money for them. Um, I'll say that it obviously makes the most money, but again, when we're talking about the fans like me and you, yeah, this is another negative. It's really another negative, and it especially matters when you're losing a program like Inside the NBA, who was such a great impact on this NBA community. Hey man, say what you want about Inside the NBA. Say about them shitting on players, the lack of analysis, with that program. Guys like Chuck, Shaq, Kenny being bitter all the time. To me, at least to me, inside the NBA was peak television. From Prime Shaq in the Fool, when it first started, to moments like EJ's Needle Style Tonight, just so many iconic moments between those four guys over the past decade that, again, as a basketball fan, I'll never forget. And I know that for a lot of other basketball fans too, across this country and even around the world. So, yeah, again, I'll keep saying it's a massive disappointment. And for, my future watching endeavors when it comes to the NBA, I know damn well I'm not using Amazon. I'm kind of exposing myself here right now, but Stream East, Met streams, crack streams, that's the way to go. Especially with this new streaming era. Cat's out the bag. It's not a secret anymore. There's like there's millions of people around like this country that use those like illegal pirating sites. So, hey, I guess this just gives me another excuse to use sites like StreamEast even more. Simple as that. You know, even with me having a student discount, but hey, it's whatever. Yeah, man. Where we at right now? We are at 27 minutes. I like that time. Currently, it's like 11 minutes from 6 where I'm at right now, so we should be good on time. We should be very good. All right. That over. Let's move on to our next segment, which is the NFL. And we'll talk about Jordan Love and Tua Tagovailoa, especially with their new contract extensions. Got a lot of money. Big money. Let's start with Tua first. And quick read on here. According to NFL Network insiders Ian Rappaport and Mike Garofalo, I hope I pronounced that right, the Dolphins and quarterback Tua Tagovailoa agreed to a 4-year, $212.4 million contract extension with $167.1 million guaranteed. The $53.1 million per year new money extension is the second largest 4-year agreement in NFL history. Ooh. All right. I want to go back to one of our previous episodes. And I believe I said this during our wild card recap video post the Dolphins and Chiefs game especially. Crazy game. That was a crazy game. Not for the on field aspect of it. That game was super boring and snooze fest, but snowstorm and all that good stuff. I said that the Dolphins would be foolish to give Tua a big money extension off the fact that for his past performances as a starting quarterback in big games, he's a horrible performer. And we saw that in the playoff game versus the Chiefs. We saw that versus the Bills down later in the season when it came down to deciding the AFC West. Back in the 2020 season, they needed a big win against Buffalo to keep their playoff hopes alive. They got their asses kicked. He had a poor performance. And just looking at his track record, offset big games, look, I don't care about the QB market and teams being afraid of letting their already established starter go. I'm sorry. But making a guy like Tua one of the highest paid quarterbacks throughout the entire league, QB market be damned, when we've clearly seen Tua with all the gadgets he has, with guys like Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, and especially with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Miami Daniels is one of the best play callers in the entire league. But we've seen Tua throughout his entire year starting in his career. He is very limited as a quarterback. And because of that, because of his limitations, his lack of deep ball presence, his lack of ability to extend plays, he struggles when it matters the most in big game situations. And we've seen versus playoff worthy contenders like Buffalo, like Kansas City, he is not the guy to elevate your team to winning football. And when it goes down to the hierarchy in the NFL right now, the QBs, when it comes down to the top 20 QBs, you put them down on a list. Tua is at the near bottom of that list. Plain and simple. And you look at the Dolphins as a whole, who already lost a guy like Christian Wilkins to free agency because they didn't want to pay him that huge extension. You look at the Dolphins, and with this recent news of them extending to all this huge money, their window as a contender, as a serious Super Bowl contender, which it was already narrowed to begin with because of Tua, has closed, completely shut. Because you have a guy like Tua, again, who is a limited quarterback on a roster who, yes, it's a good roster. On their day, they can compete with some of the top teams in the entire league. But when it comes down to it, down the line, when you gotta pay guys these huge extensions as well, you have a huge handicap like Tua, who puts you who ties your hands around your back, that limits you to make more big name moves, and with a roster who, when you line it up with all the other teams throughout the NFL, it's not really there when it comes to the clear big dogs like the Chiefs, obviously, but also the Niners, the Ravens, the Lions, even maybe the Bengals too as well. I don't see them being amongst that tier of truly elite teams in the league. They're that fun regular season team who has these hot streaks at the start of the year, but when the season dwindles down, November, December football, January football, the weather gets a lot colder. You know, around that time, you know who the big dogs are and who aren't. When it comes down to it, they are clearly not amongst those top elite teams in the NFL. And again, with Tua getting this huge payday, I think that would be even more of a reality moving forward for this team. Okay. But that being said, let's move on to the other huge QB contract extension, and that is Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Quick rundown. Green Bay signed Love to a 4-year, $220 million contract extension that puts him in a tie for the highest paid player in NFL history, according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. That was reported on Friday. Love's deal also includes a record-setting $75 million signing bonus. And with the guaranteed money, it is $160 million for Jordan Love. I will say this. I love Jordan Love as a quarterback. I think last season, obviously with him getting his first year starting as the Packers quarterback post Aaron Rodgers, that whole era, I think he showed enough flashes, especially late in the season where they went on that hot streak. He showed enough flashes to where you can count on him being a potential franchise quarterback, an elite quarterback, I might say, down the line in these next few seasons. The the record breaking money, yes, it's a bit of a concern knowing that Jordan Love has always been on the raw side when it comes to his development. We've been knowing this since his collegiate days at Utah State. But when you compare him and Tua, them getting their huge money deals, I put a lot more faith in the Packers' decision to give Love all of that money because when you look at a guy like Jordan Love, he has shown you, although it has been a very small sample size, really like 6, 8 games, he has shown you enough improvement at least, enough flashes again to say that, yeah, it's a ton of money right now, but the value we can get out of him moving forward, I think with this team, which the Packers are a super young team. Last year they were one of the youngest in the entire league by far. They had the youngest offense in the entire league, a very inexperienced unit. And for Love to turn around mid-season, they won 9 games in the regular season. Obviously, as the 7th seed, them coming into Dallas, uh, Jerry World in the wild card round and whooping the dog shit out of them, establishing their dominance throughout all 4 quarters of that game, and competing with the Niners, who are, when healthy, Super Bowl contenders year in, year out, competing with the Niners at Levi Stadium for the entire game, albeit Love had a lot of mistakes late in that game. The game breaking interception to Dre Greenlaw to seal it. But I think with Love being under the helm, along with this Packers offense, Matt LaFleur is one of the best play callers in this entire league. He proved his worth last season managing that offensive unit. The weapons they have, like a Dontavion Wicks, Christian Watson when he's healthy, even lesser known guys, Jaden Reed, Luka Musgrave, Tucker Kraft as well. Just great role players within this offensive unit. There's not a clear number one guy in that receiving core, that offensive unit as a whole, but it's a unit where they know their role, and when it matters the most, they've shown enough flashes to where you can trust them to build and develop alongside Jordan Love. And let's not forget about the addition of Josh Jacobs in the running game to replace Aaron Jones. On his day, a guy like Josh Jacobs, albeit he's not giving you the same receiving threat as an Aaron Jones, he's more dependable when it comes to his health and is better than Jones when it comes to him being a downhill rusher in those rushing down situations. So I think the Packers offense is going to be good once again this upcoming season. I think Love, we're going to continue to see more improvement from him as a quarterback. And I can't wait to see this Packers team in full effect with another season under their belt, because that that late season stretch from November to obviously the end of the regular season, it was exciting, man. The explosive plays they had, the creativity, Jordan Love making all of these off-platform throws, showed off a lot of his great arm strength as well. It was fun and exciting as a fan to watch. So I want to see more of that. I really, really do. Oh, next week, I don't want to keep it as a surprise, but most likely we're going to have NFL team tier rankings. So a little bit of a spoiler for Green Bay, but I have them as a playoff team as it currently stands. But we'll see the rest of those teams pan out in next week's episode for that main segment. So a quick reminder, a quick little thing for you guys to look forward to for next week. If the cold doesn't come back, That would be really bad for us and with the content for our podcast because yeah, when it comes down to it, when you're fighting the cold and when you also got an internship, in the middle of that, it's a little bit hard to get clips moving, get content rolling. But my fault on that. Hopefully, a lot of the content will resume once this episode's over, and I can go back to edit all the stuff for you guys to listen to and watch. So yeah, shoot. All right. So for this next segment, we are going to talk about QB tier rankings. Simple as that. We've done this a crap ton of times with this podcast before. If you guys, you know, remember last year, me, Matt, and one of our guests, Danny, we did a last year's edition of QB tiers for the upcoming season. So it's gonna be the same thing like last year for this year too. Um, yeah, we're gonna switch gears to StreamYard for this to fully work out. So stay tuned, y'all. All right, so we are back. If all right, so we are back, you guys. As you can see, the format has been switched up. We are on virtual for this segment, and because of that, and also that this format was the one I should have done with the past episode with the NBA superstars. With these tiers, as you can see, they are a lot easier for you guys to interpret. So, a quick rundown of all the tiers with this segment. We have UFL, that means out of the league at the bottom, low end backup, spot starter, or as you might intel, high end backup, solid, so game manager tier, near elite, elite, and the Mahomes tier, which obviously that is for Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, easy as that. So let's get to it. Let's start with one. Let's start with Brock Purdy, Mr. Purdy, with this tier ranking. I'm going to put Brock Purdy in solid. Now, with Brock Purdy, the consensus along the NFL media and community last year was obviously one of the biggest talking points in that entire season. Is Brock Purdy good? Is Brock Purdy elite? Does Brock Purdy deserve to win MVP? Is Brock Purdy trash? Does Brock Purdy get does Brock Purdy get carried by Kyle Shanahan and the weapons around him? And my general opinion on Purdy is this: do I think Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback? No. Off of his lack of arm strength and just his overall big play ability, pushing the ball down the field, his deep ball accuracy, I just don't think that warrants him to be amongst the NFL's elite. When it comes down to it, when you compare Brock Purdy to elite quarterbacks like a Mahomes or even like a Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, guys like that with their caliber, I don't see Brock Purdy being nearly close to those guys. Even with quarterbacks like a Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, when healthy. You could possibly say a guy like Geno Smith, throw a guy like him in there, maybe even Baker Mayfield, depending on your opinion on those quarterbacks. But when it comes down to it, Brock Purdy is one of the best players right now when it comes to extending plays, creating with his legs, which is why the Niners in their offense, they gained new life from the Jimmy G era, having a quarterback who can extend plays and create by himself, create out of structure like a Brock Purdy, which gives guys like Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield more time to get to their open spots and create big chunk plays down the field. So for Brock Purdy, again, he's not an elite quarterback by any means, but I think he has proven himself enough to be a very dependable quarterback in this league. And do I think they could possibly win a Super Bowl with Purdy as their QB? I think you'd have to convince me a lot to be able to say that, to make that statement. But as of right now, I think Brock Purdy he belongs in this league. He belongs in this league. All right. Next, we'll talk about his backup in Joshua Dobbs. Dobbs Mania, the Pastronaut, as he was known last year. I like Josh Dobbs. I wish him well. Phenomenal story. But we clearly saw when he played more and more games with not just the Vikings, but even with the Cardinals to start, with in regular season, he is not even a dependable high-end backup in this league. I put him at the low-end tier. Josh Dobbs, in short spurts, is a solid quarterback, especially with his ability to create plays. That's why he was so phenomenal to watch during his time with the Vikings to start off his career there, being put in a Kevin O'Connell scheme where they benefit off those play action shots. But, with the lack of processor when it comes to reading the field, it clearly showed. And as defenses adjusted with his time with the Cardinals and the Vikings as the season went on, he clearly showed his inefficiencies. So I'll put him at a low-end backup right here where he belongs. Again, wishing the best for him, but that's just my opinion. You don't got to take it quite literally. Let's see. Don't got much to say. Next one, Jordan Love. I'll put him in the near elite tier. He doesn't have enough tape to put him amongst the elite quarterbacks. But with what we saw, again, like I said earlier this episode, in that late season stretch, I think it warrants him enough to be put in that tier from now. You could possibly say that there's, he can undergo a season like Trevor Lawrence, where his play falters compared to last season. But as of right now, I think he belongs in that borderline elite tier. I think that Sean Clifford, I'm going to say UFO, just as the other 49ers backup on this list. Kenny Pickett. I never saw with Kenny Pickett. His mobility is the biggest plus sign of his play. But when it comes down to it as a pure passer, the ability to read defenses, the ability to push the ball down the field outside the numbers, he can't do that at a high level. So I think Kenny Pickett being put in the low-end backup tier would be fine for now, as well as Mason Rudolph too. I think those two are fine in that tier. Same as Mr. Trubisky. Wow. 3 Pittsburgh quarterbacks. Who would have thought? Yeah, man, the quarterback play since Big Ben has not been great in Pittsburgh. We'll say that. Oh, but I know a team that doesn't have that problem right now, and that's the Chiefs. And with Patrick Mahomes, we will put my guy in the Mahomes tier. Yeah. There is no quarterback that comes close to Patrick Mahomes. I don't gotta explain much more on him. The other Chiefs backups, Blaine Gabbert, low end backup, and Carson Wentz, low end backup as well. Yeah. Imagine saying that back in 2018, 2017. That Carson Wentz would be a would, would be fighting for a backup spot in the NFL. Crazy. Mm, okay. All right. Next quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Another controversial quarterback. Had a down year, obviously. I think that was more on the lack of creativity when it came down to the offensive play calling from Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni. I thought just the lack of creativity, just the stagnation throughout that whole unit put Hurts at a massive disadvantage. And you can also ignore the lingering injuries as the year went on for Hurts as well. So with Hurts, when it comes to these tier rankings, I'm still going to put him in the borderline elite tier. I wouldn't say elite as we saw last year. Obviously, they were able to go to the Super Bowl largely off of his play from the quarterback position. Still one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the entire league. We know when he has the ball in his hands, he can create so many explosive plays with his legs. But I think his passing took a huge downgrade. Not huge, but a decent enough downgrade from that Super Bowl finish the year prior to make it where he takes a steep blow from that elite tier. His backup, Tanner McKee, I'm going to put in the low end tier. Marcus Mariota, his former backup, is going to be in the low end backup tier. Yeah, man. I don't really gotta say too much on Mariota. So, shoot. Going on to the Rams, we'll talk about Matthew Stafford. I'm going to expose myself for this part. Last year, when me, Matt, and Danny were doing this, I said Stafford was washed, and I didn't believe that he would be able to recreate or near recreate his play from the Super Bowl winning season that he had a couple seasons prior. But last year, with him being fully healthy, he showed that he's still clearly one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Him being able to elevate an offense with the Rams that was massively inexperienced. We didn't know the caliber of young guys like Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams out of the backfield. We didn't know the impact those guys were going to have on that team along with the inexperienced O-line. And for Matthew Stafford, which I thought he should have had a lot more nods to win MVP last year, for him to bounce back from all of his injuries and play at an elite level, nearly playing as a top 5 quarterback, surprising a lot of people, bringing the Rams to the playoffs. I think that warrants enough for him to be in that elite tier. Yes, so to Matthew and Kelly Stafford, I am deeply sorry. I wasn't familiar with your game. And Matt, if you are watching this, I am deeply sorry as well for disrespecting your quarterback. Yeah, he's still not a Hall of Famer though. I might add, but the elite tier is fine enough for him. So yeah, Stetson Bennett. We haven't really seen him play. Obviously, he had all the suspension stuff. So respectfully, as of right now, I'll put him at the low end backup tier just to be safe. To the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, elite tier, elite. Let me rearrange these tiers real quick. I'm not doing the low end backup. Y'all can do whatever you want with that. From Mahomes to spot starter was where I'll make these arrangements. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine for now. Yeah, back to Lamar. Last year, I said that although Lamar is still elite, I put him below in those top 10 QB rankings just because of his availability and his nagging injury history. Lamar, on his day, is at best a top three quarterback in this league talent wise. When it comes to the Ravens offense, doesn't matter whether it's Greg Roman or Tom Monken calling plays, he is the clear engine. Excuse me. He is what makes that entire offense tick, especially in the running game. When he is gone, which we've clearly seen when he's not available, with Snoop Huntley bringing on to that role, the Ravens' offense immediately falters. It becomes non-existent. And Lamar, we're seeing him gain a ton of more respect compared to his first MVP season in 2019. We are seeing from the NFL community a general consensus that this Ravens team goes as far as Lamar goes. And in the championship game versus the Chiefs, Lamar didn't play well. The offense sputtered, albeit a lot of blame could be put on both Todd Monken and John Harbaugh for deferring from the running game. Again, Lamar played bad. He had the brutal pick in the end zone, targeting Isaiah Likely, surrounding three Chiefs defenders. Got the pick in the end zone. That was bad from him. A lot of other bad plays from the Ravens offense that day was bad too, which is why they lost to the Chiefs at home in that title game. But again, for this Ravens team to fully succeed, it doesn't matter what weapons he has. It doesn't matter what play calling he has. As long as Lamar Jackson is healthy, the Ravens offense will be humming, and the Ravens will continue to be contenders as long as Lamar Jackson is at the helm as quarterback. All right. These other QBs, Snoop Huntley, low end backup. Also, if you thought Snoop Huntley deserved to be the starter, and during that season when Lamar missed the rest of the late game stretch and they missed the playoffs, if you thought Snoop Huntley deserved to be the starting quarterback, as the Ravens should have let Lamar walk that offseason, do not talk to me about football. That is so moronic. I just want to get that off my chest. Okay. Josh Johnson, low end backup. Anthony Brown, I believe, UFL. Next one, Jared Goff from Detroit. If you told me a few years back if I thought Jared Goff was near an elite quarterback, I would have laughed at your face. But now, as we've seen in his past 2 years with the Lions, I think that Goff deserves to be near that conversation. While I don't think he's a clear-cut elite quarterback, especially due to his limitations, extending plays, which Goff has always been a statue in the pocket. We've been knowing this since his days with Cali in college and the Rams to start his career off. He's a statue in the pocket. A lot of, credit can go to the Lions O-line, led by Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, last year Jonah Jackson as well on that unit. A lot of Jared Goff's success can coincide with the greatness of Detroit's O-line, along with the great play calling of Ben Johnson, along with them having great road weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery out of that backfield, that two-headed monster as running backs. But Jared Goff, I think, again, him during his time in Detroit, these last 2 seasons, he has shown enough tape, enough clutch throws, enough big plays. His accuracy, which has always been a strong suit of him, has been insane in Detroit, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the entire league by far. And for him to have this consistency, to continue to run this machine in Detroit, making it as great as it is, I think I want to give him enough credit to put him alongside that borderline near elite tier, alongside Hurts and Love as well. Do I think he's a again? Do I think he's a clear elite quarterback? No, but I think Detroit, with the current roster they have, even with Goff's contract extension, I think they will consistently be a winning football team as long as Goff can maintain his high caliber play. They'll continue to win games. Hopefully, they'll continue to win playoff games as well too. And one of the biggest reasons is because of Jared Goff as well. So I'll put him in the near elite tier. I can't put Teddy Bridgewater in any of these tiers. He retired. See, Hendon Hooker, we haven't seen him play yet. I think that's Nate Sudfeld, UFL, easily. I think that is. Is that Brandon Allen? I believe that's Brandon Allen. Why am I lingering? No, that's not Brandon Allen. That's Jake Browning. Okay, that is Jake Browning. I'll put Jake Browning in low end backup. I mixed up between him and Brandon Allen. Excuse me. To the Bills, Josh Allen, clear elite tier. Yeah, I don't gotta explain too much. Sure, the turnover problems are an issue, but when it comes down to it, again with Lamar, Josh Allen is the entire engine of that Bills offense. It is clicking because of him most of the time. And again, the turnovers again are a huge problem, but Allen is one of the greatest physical specimens we have in this entire league, no matter the position. The big playability, obviously the dual threat ability as well. Arm strength is crazy. Accuracy has gotten a lot better over the past few years during his time as the starter. The Bills, they've lost a decent amount of talent this offseason, but when it comes down to it, as long as they have Josh Allen as their starter completely healthy, they have a chance to be contenders year in and year out. And that alone is what makes an elite quarterback in this league. And that's why I have Josh Allen at number 2 on this tier ranking. Joe Burrow, he's a little bit down on this list. He will come later. Okay, that's Kyle Allen, low end backup. Dak Prescott, I will put in near elite. Is he elite? Is he bad? He's not either. He is right down the middle, a little bit above the solid tier, and that's the near elite tier. Prescott, a lot of blame can be put on his playoff performances, which you look at his entire career, he's never been a great, let alone an elite playoff performer at all, given his track record. But when it comes down to it, in the regular season, he has consistently produced high-powered offenses year in and year out. And last year, with a mediocre run game and outside CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson, a limited amount of receiving threats, the Cowboys were still able to be a top offense in the entire league. And now it's because one of the reasons was because of obviously CeeDee Lamb and also Dak Prescott leading the way. When Dak is on, he is potentially a top 6, top 7 quarterback in the entire league. And we've seen that a good amount of time, especially in the regular season. But, again, why I don't have Prescott in the elite tier is, again, because of the big games when it comes down to it, January football. And we've seen it before, time and time again. He has faltered when it matters the most, whether it was the wildcard game versus the Packers at home. I don't care about all the stat padding at the end. He had a bad game. Or the 2 times they went up against the Niners. He has failed to show up. He has failed to step up with the goods. So, yeah, that's why I have him in this near elite tier. Let's see. I'll put Prescott above Jordan Love. Cooper Rush, I'll say spot starter. Trey Lance, Sadly, one of my worst takes of all time. I thought it would have pinned out by now, but yeah, UFL tier, the super raw. Okay, the Seahawks quarterbacks. Let's talk about Geno. Um, oof. I kind of jumped the gun with Geno from next year. Yeah, last year, talking about his play. I put him in the near elite tier. I thought, as I saw in his first year being the full time starter with the Seahawks, the accuracy, the ability to still create out of the pocket, I thought that it would still maintain heading into next year. But, you can say a lot about Shane Waldron as a play caller. I think, couldn't match the same level of play he had compared to last year in his comeback player of the year caliber season. But I still have him as a very solid quarterback. I'll put him at the high end solid tier. Yeah, still very accurate when he's outside the pocket, still able to create plays for his receivers to get open and have big chunk plays down the field. I still think that you can win a lot of games with Smith at quarterback for Seattle, even with the defense being as bad as it was last year. Although I think, obviously, with the addition of Mike McDonald as the first year head coach, that will change. I think Geno, with the improved O line, with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett as the three-headed monster at wide receiver. I still think when you put enough talent around Geno, he is still a very capable quarterback to succeed at a high level in this league. Why did I put Jared Goff in the elite tier? He is not there. I'll put him in that tier. Yeah, let's do that. Shoot, next two, Sam Howell. I'll say low and back up. Yeah, and I was a Sam Howell believer, but a lot of bad plays in Washington. You can say a lot about the poor O line, which is fair. Bieniemy putting too much pressure on him, consistent passing downs, game in, game out, but just the amount of turnover worthy plays, the lack of pocket presence, holding on the ball for too long. I've lost faith. Hopefully he can turn around for me, but I've lost faith in how. PJ Walker, UFL. I think he is clearly one of the worst quarterbacks in the entire league. Kevin Stefanski. I think me putting Kevin Stefanski as a near elite coach in this entire league, I think a lot of that can be put on him. Last season, somehow making the Browns' offense somewhat competent with PJ Walker as a starting quarterback. Because PJ Walker, man, just so many boneheaded decisions as a quarterback. Just putting the ball in harm's way. Just not being able to see the defense, not being able to read it. A lot whenever he's trying to make those outside of the numbers. A lot of his interceptions come from that part of the field. So, man, I don't hate the man, but shoot, bro. Like at some point, man, the writing's gotta be on the wall, even as a third string backup. Yeah, the next two Giants quarterbacks, Daniel Jones. Clearly not a good enough starting quarterback. I would put him for now at the starter spot. Yeah, it's his last chance in New York. Obviously, it's his clear last chance. He's healthy now. They got Malik Neighbors, beefed up the O-line a little bit. The running back core is amongst the worst in the entire league, so that isn't helping his favor. But he still has a very capable play caller in Brian Daboll, who under him, Jones had his he clearly had his best year in that 2022 season when they won the playoff game versus the Vikings and made it to the divisional round when no one thought they would have that successful of a season to begin with. So Daniel Jones, I'll put him in spot starter, and yeah, it's his last chance to turn it around. Drew Lock, low end backup. Yeah. Great moment versus the Eagles, but again, I think a lot of traits still remain during this time with the Broncos. Processor's not really there when it comes to making secondary reads. It's not there as well. Arm strength leaves a lot to be desired. Accuracy down the field leaves a lot to be desired. I still think for this season with the Giants, I would not be surprised at all if he took Daniel Jones' spot mid-season. But as of right now, I got Locke as a low-end backup. Joe Burrow. Ooh. The narrative's changing a little bit with Joe Burrow. I have Burrow as QB4. He is QB4. Still one of the best field generals in the entire league. Accuracy is insane. But when it comes down to it, I think Allen showed enough this past season, especially with out at top wide receiver talent. Stephon Diggs was basically non-existent that last stretch for the Bills. I think him alongside Lamar having a full healthy season drops him down a little bit. I had Burrow as QB2 heading into last season. But injuries aside, Burrow is still a clear elite quarterback in this league by far. AJ McCarron, UFO. Actually, no, that's too harsh. Low end backup. CJ Stroud. Man. He had the historical rookie year last year. Even without Tank Dell, down the stretch. And with a very mediocre running game. But just off my philosophy of needing multiple seasons of high-end QB play, I got Stroud in the borderline elite tier. You know, especially when you factor in the interception rate that he had, which was at a historical rate last year. I just think the law of averages will play out, even though they got Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon, who, although are boomer bust prospects as new dynamic signings, I think they'll be positive for Stroud in the Texans offense this season. I still got Stroud in the borderline elite tier. But as a quarterback, we've seen that entire year. His talent, which his traits from Ohio State translated to the professional level, was amazing to watch. The fearlessness to throw the football, the precision down the field, the ability to make the right reads whenever the defenses have different looks on like snap to snap was phenomenal to see, especially from a young quarterback like Stroud. So hopefully we can see a lot more from him next season. And just, again, with that, he could possibly be in the elite tier down the line, which, again, it's not going to really take that long for him to reach that level. Case Keenum, I want to say spot starter, especially due to his age, but low end backup. Actually, I'll lead the QBs who don't really get a ton of burn. I really haven't seen to be left out of this tier ranking to make it fair. Heineke, low end backup. Garoppolo, low end backup. I think he's done as a dependable high end backup, spot starter in this league. Aiden O'Connell, low end backup. Brian Hoyer, low end backup. Baker Mayfield, solid tier. I want to see Mayfield post Dave Canales. If you didn't know, Canales was the Bucks' offensive play caller last year, and I truly believe he was a huge reason why Baker had a career year last year, a redemption season, as well as Geno having the season he had with the Seahawks his first year with that team. So I think that is a huge factor that Mayfield has to overcome, even though he still has weapons like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Rashad White still in Tampa Bay. I think Mayfield, on his day when he's completely healthy, is still a capable enough quarterback in this league. Let's see. John Wolford, USL, Kyle Trask, USL, Tua. We talked about Tua. I got Tua in the solitaire. I think I'm above Purdy. I think that's fine right now. Yeah, that's fine. To go in with Tua, accuracy, accuracy in the short intermediate game is still very great. One of the best QBs when it comes to anticipating routes. When it comes to versus coverages, snap by snap. But again, like I said before, lack of arm strength, lack of big game performances, and limitations when it comes to creating outside the pocket. I can't put him anywhere above the solid tier as of right now. Skylar Thompson, UFL, Mike White, low end backup. Kyler Murray, nearly. I think another full season with him being completely healthy. Obviously, he came back mid-season from his his ACL tear. Wasn't the Kyle Murray of old, but I think with a full offseason, especially having a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. as a clear alpha on the outside, along with Michael Wilson getting another year under his belt, which I do believe Michael Wilson is going to be one of the breakout candidates on offense heading into the league next season. Look out for him. Kyle Murray on his day. Again, another engine when it comes to carrying an offense. It's not the same level as an Allen or Lamar Jackson, but still, as we've clearly seen in his career with the Cliff Kingsbury era, he is able to overcome mediocre play calling and mediocre weapons with his athletic ability, being one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the league by far. His creativity outside the pocket, his play extension is phenomenal, out of this world. Man, look, man, I still believe Kyler Murray is, I think he's the most disrespected quarterback by far when you look at the entire diaspora throughout the entire league. And I think with this Cardinals team and this Cardinals offense, I truly believe that Murray will prove all the doubters wrong and have a borderline top 10 season when it comes to quarterback play. So I'll put him in the near elite tier, above Jordan Love, Goff, and Dak Prescott. Right here. Next one's Desmond Ridder, low end backup. Don't know why he got a full-time job with the Falcons last year. I believe that is Clean Tune. That is UFO. Deshaun Watson. Oh, no. Joe Flacco. I think a lot of that was due to the play calling of Stefanski last year, man. It was a great story, but this is too many turnovers, man. Super too many turnovers with Flacco. I will say low end backup, but high end low end backup, if that makes any sense. Deshaun Watson. I'll put him in the spot starter tier. Look, man, it's the last year. It's the last year to make it or break it for Watson. Obviously, during his time in Cleveland, a lot of mediocre production. When he is healthy, he actually hasn't been able to stay healthy as the Browns quarterback. So again, with Stefanski as their play caller, Nick Chubb, hopefully, him being able to come back, he can have somewhat of his high level production as he usually does. Judy was their big accusation at the wide receiver position. Still got Amari Cooper, still got Elijah Moore. David Njoku emerged as a top tight end this past season. So for Deshaun, their eyes on the wall. You got all the big money. They trade all of this draft capital to get you and your services. When the Browns got Deshaun Watson, their clear goal was to be a Super Bowl contender post Baker Mayfield. And for Deshaun, if even if it's not the same level of play like he had in his time versus with the Texans, if he can somewhat be able to play adequate football, borderline average, above average level football, I think for the Browns, although the contract is still not good at all, fully guaranteed with all that money, I think it'll be very acceptable moving forward, especially for how talented this Browns team is on paper. But again, it's his last chance. It really is. Next one's Jameis Winston, high end backup. I put him low end tier, spot starter. DTR, low end backup. Will Levis. He showed enough spots for me when he took the starting job from Ryan Tannehill last year to say that he can be not, I wouldn't say franchise quarterback, but a respectable enough quarterback in this league. But I have him spot starter. Hopefully that'll change this year. Malik Willis, UFO. I think that's Brandon Allen. I want to say Brandon Allen. That's UFO as well. Anthony Richardson. If he played that full year, man, I would definitely put him in the solid tier. But I can't, though, unfortunately, because he got injured. But in those 4 or 5 games, a lot of promise, man. With Shane Steichen as the coordinator calling the plays, Jonathan Taylor out the backfield, a very solid O-line, Braden Smith, Quentin Nelson leading the way, Bernard Raymond, very underrated tackle for them as well, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell as well too, leading the way for the receiving core. Oh, if that man can stay healthy, I truly believe the Colts, they can be a top offense by far, top 10, borderline. Again, if Richardson can stay healthy. That's how great of a QB threat he can possibly be, especially when it comes to him as a dual threat with his rushing ability. Okay, we got good traction. We got good traction right now. Gardner Minshew, high end backup. Sam Ellinger, UFL. Oh, Kirk Cousins. Oh man, I still have this take. If Kirk Cousins was completely healthy last year, he would have been MVP or near the MVP combos. I think with what we saw, especially in games like the Monday night game versus the Niners, him being able to make all these big clutch throws down the stretch, I think Kirk Cousins got a lot of shit over his career, every single year of his career. But last year, in the limited time he had before he tore his Achilles, unfortunately, he was at the peak of his powers. Now, can he create that same magic with the Falcons? The receiving options are great in Atlanta, but again, with the Achilles injury, I'm not sure. But I think with Kirk Cousins' playing style, even though he is getting up there in age, I still think he is a borderline elite quarterback in this league. I will put Cousins in the near elite tier above Jared Goff. His new replacement, Sam Darnold. Oof. I think Sam Darnold is a spot starter, but on the lower end of that. Hopefully, with the Vikings, especially with Kevin O'Connell's scheme, obviously got Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson when he comes back, Jordan Addison as the wide receiver two, Aaron Jones as the new starting running back, solid all line two led by Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw. Maybe I think he showed enough promise with the Panthers when he got enough time in that span during the second stint to say with the hope that he can at least do something with that unit until JJ McCarthy develops as a quarterback. But for now, I'll put him in the spot starter tier. Nick Mullins, low end backup. Jaren Hall, as of right now, UFL. I'll just get out the way for the Jaguars quarterbacks. Mac Jones, spot starter. CJ Beathard, low end backup. All right, T-Law, Trevor Lawrence. The narrative, man, it switches. You know, right now, looking at all the stuff being put on him during his time at Clemson, being labeled as a generational quarterback prospect, the best QB prospect since Andrew Luck. You look at his career, it's a bit of a disappointment. Obviously, the Jaguars, especially during the beginning, they didn't adequately put enough help and weapons around him. But when it comes down to it, Trevor Lawrence, his overall play has been disappointing when you add the fact that, again, he was this generational prospect coming out of Clemson, beat Alabama in that blowout in the championship game as a true freshman. And especially with last season, we thought he was on the right trajectory. Obviously, with the comeback win over the Chargers at home in that wild card game, the Ravens comeback win at home to win the game on a 2-point conversion as well. We thought he would be on the right path, but last year the connection between him and Calvin really wasn't there. The inconsistencies he showed, it was just a massive disappointment from Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully that can change, but I still have him in the near elite tier. But when it comes down to it, which he is still relatively young, I think we need to see a lot more from Trevor Lawrence moving forward, especially with the amount of money he got with that new contract extension. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Let's see. Lawrence right here. I'll put Prescott above him. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next one. Tannehill's not even in the league anymore. I believe that's Matt Barkley, UFL. Justin Herbert, elite, clearly elite. QB5 for me, rounding out that top 5 list. Yeah, the playoff success. It's there's a huge gap there, but when it comes down to it, Justin Herbert is one of the few quarterbacks in this league where he elevates an offense no matter who's calling the plays, no matter who he has as weapons, which we've clearly seen during his time with the Chargers. When they made the playoffs in the 2022 season, not having Mike Edwards and Keenan Allen for a large part of that season, a very mediocre running game. He's still, when he's completely healthy, he continues to have great passing seasons, and the offense is still moving as much as he can. Yeah, I think with Jim Harbaugh as the first-year head coach, the scheme obviously changes, but I don't think, even with the lack of weapons, Herbert clearly has. We've seen enough from him the past few years, ever since he came into the league, to where it doesn't matter who he has as his weapons, he's still going to produce at a very high level. So I still have Herbert at that elite tier, that upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL. Easton Stick, low end backup. I believe the next one is Matt Corral. UFL, Derek Carr. Yeah, spot starter. Um, just the lack of mobility when it comes to him as a quarterback really hinders his play, and just not being able to elevate that Saints offense last year was very disappointing, especially when you had enough weapons to make it a very above average unit, which the Saints weren't. A lot of drives, especially in the red zone, were stalled due to his lack of creation outside the pocket. So that makes it, enough to put him in that spot starter tier. All right. Yeah, Taysom Hill, Lauren backup. I don't think that is. I think that's Jake Hayner. I can't put him in here. Justin Fields, low end backup. That hurts me as a Justin Fields guy, but the writing's on the wall. Clearly not the same player. Hopefully that can change with the Steelers, but I don't believe so. Next one, Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about him. The Achilles injury, still a lot of question marks, especially when he's near 40 years old. We don't know how good he's going to be with this Jets offense. But as we've seen before, he's still one of the top quarterbacks in this entire league by far. And it's a huge question mark, man. Do I want to put him in the elite tier or the near elite tier? I'm going to put him in the near elite tier right beside CJ Stroud. That makes sense. Zach Wilson, UFL. Trevor Siemian, low end backup. Don't know. Jared Stidham, low end backup. Russell Wilson, spot starter, low end spot starter. Let's see, Nathan Peterman, UFL. Bryce Young, spot starter. I believe he will have a much better season in Carolina. Look, man, I think for Bryce Young, the situation, having a guy like Frank Reich call the plays for the majority of the season, the worst schematically run offense in the entire league, in my opinion. The lack of weapons he had, the horrible O-line, the horrible run game. Bryce Young last year in Carolina was one of the worst situations I've ever seen a quarterback starting off his career at. And hopefully a ton of improvements were made. Obviously, Dave Canales is the new head coach now. The wide receiver core has been improved. Xavier Legette, Deontay Johnson, the big accusations in that room. Jonathan Brooks, hopefully after he recovers from his ACL injury, he can emerge as that top running back out of that room as well. So I think in the moments where Bryce Young had his best ball, he played his best ball, especially in the game versus the Packers. I truly believe that he can be a solid enough starter in this league, but as of right now, I put him in spot starter. Let's see. Tyson Bagent, UFL. Andy Dalton, high-end backup, spot starter. Bailey Zappi, low-end backup. Jacoby Brissett, spot starter. And last one that I can point out from here is Tommy DeVito, low-end backup. So that is it. Now, if you guys have any thoughts about that. And yeah, man, that is the end of this episode. If you guys have made it this far, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, subscribe to the TikTok and Instagram channel, those official ones, all with the handle at Lonesome Debates. Make sure to spread some love on those as well. We are currently at 938 subscribers on YouTube. We have a goal to hit 1K before the end of this summer, so let's hit that goal. And yeah, man, that's it for me. Later, y'all. Have a great day and peace.